Good morning. Day 184, the book of Jonah. Today's going to be so good. I don't know if you can tell, but it's rained here, and I think it's going to rain again soon. So I'm going to walk fast and try to talk fast. But first, I want to show you this gorgeous sunrise with all of these clouds over the lake. Just beautiful. Dramatic with the rays coming down and peeking through the clouds. Gorgeous. Okay, the book of Jonah. Man, Jonah is like, I am Jonah. You're Jonah. Like, I think Jonah is a perfect example of humans on a micro level. He gives us clear instructions. And whether you believe in the God or the universe, whatever your beliefs are, we all kind of know that there's a higher way, a better way. And we want our way. And we try to force our way, the higher way, to line up with our way. So I titled this, I almost called it Fool for the Lord, but not everybody believes in the Lord. And, so I want to make this, to help people wherever they are on their journey and their seeking and their process. So, I believe in God. I am now a fool for the Lord, but I was not always a reluctant fool for the Lord. Still somewhat, like, I worry about what people think of me and what is this? What are we doing? So Jonah's a really interesting story. I think a lot of people, Jonah's very famous because he was swallowed by a whale. It's a short book, 4 short chapters, but there's a lot in there. There's some symbolism with Jesus's death and resurrection. There is, which is that is being swallowed and then coming back out of the whale. There's his reluctance, maybe in the Garden of Gethsemane. But anyway, we're going to focus on Jonah himself and the story. And how much we are like Jonah. When we know, we get an inkling, and we're like, we know we're supposed to do something, and we're like, nope, I'm going the other direction. Like, nope, not going to do it. Nope. And that's exactly what he did. And then even later on, he is like, even when he gets back on track, on God's way, and then it still doesn't go his way, he's upset with God. Like, what? I told you. I knew you were going to do this. And this is why I didn't want to go. And you still did it anyway. And now I'm the one that looks like a fool. He's mad. And he lets God know, which I think is, pretty cool. So I thought I had somebody behind me. So I was trying to see if I needed to get out of their way. Anyway, my way or the highway, that word keeps coming up. My way or the highway. I'm getting in somebody's way. Oh man, looking back over our shoulders. Yeah, Jonah gets on this boat. He decides, God gives us this command. He's like, nope, I don't like those people. I don't want to have any part of saving them. I know you're sending me to warn them of destruction, but I know you're a God of love and compassion. I know they're probably going to listen to me, and they're probably going to change their ways, and then you're not going to follow through on your threat. And I don't want any part of it. So he goes the other way. And I think for several reasons, like he really doesn't like those people, but also he doesn't want to be used and made a fool of. The word fool itself, I looked it up, and its origins are bellow or windbag. So literally, he knew he was going to be a windbag for God, bellowing this prophecy through the streets of Nineveh. And he knew. He was like, I told you. Chapter 4 starts off with this. Like, I knew you are a God of love and compassion. And I knew this was going to happen. I told you way back when. That's why I went to Tarshish. Or I was headed there. I did not want to do this. I did not like your plan. I don't want to be a part of it. And I don't want to be made a fool of. Like, he's like, this is not my way. This is not the way I would do it. And then there's this strange scene of growing a plant, and then that provides shade for him, and then a worm coming and eating it right away. And while Jonah enjoyed the shade because it was really hot, and then he woke up the next day and the plant was gone. And God was kind of like, it's my plant. I made the plant grow. It's mine. I can do with it what I want. It's not about you. You got to benefit from it, but it's about me. You need to remember your place. It is the higher way, not your way. And you are just lucky to be alive. Like, Jonah was so mad, he was saying, I just wish I were dead. Yeah, just kill me. You know, and there's a couple instances of that. Like when they're on the boat, the storm comes. Okay, so I kind of jumped ahead. Let's go back to the beginning. So he gets these in marching orders, and he decides to march in the other direction, gets on a boat, goes the other direction. God says, I don't think so. Throws a big storm, and the other people on the boat are like praying to their gods. Jonah's like sound asleep. He's like, I'm good. I'm going where I want to go. And then then they wake him up and like, dude, we need you to pray to your God. Like, this is a big storm. And also in the process, they ask him, like, who are you? Where are you from? You would think they would ask that before they let him on the boat. But anyway, this is how the story plays out. And he says, I'm a Hebrew, and I believe in the Lord. Oh, the first sentence, when they introduce Jonah, I'm jumping all over the place. I was kind of excited about this book, you can tell. The first sentence of Jonah introduced him as the son of Amittai, which is weird. Most of the prophets are not introduced that way. And this is a short book. Like, every word in it is purposeful, every word. And so why is that there? So, and that name is only mentioned twice in the Bible, but the word itself, or the name itself, means truth. My truth. So, son of my truth. That's who Jonah is. Son of my truth. And Jonah's like, nope, not true. Not my truth. Your truth, not my truth. He tries to deny. And when he's asked his occupation, he says, I'm Hebrew. I worship God. And they were like, whoa, you better get on your knees and pray now. Like, this is happening because of you. God is angry with you. And so he eventually says, okay, you're right. It is about me. Just throw me overboard. That's the only way that this is going to stop. So they throw him overboard. He gets eaten by the fish. And then he prays. He kind of repents and said, okay, fine, God, I'll do it. You are sovereign. I am nothing, I am your servant. I'm paraphrasing. And then he goes on, he gets spit out. And then he goes on to Nineveh and does what he was instructed to do. And all the people, they count it in the Bible like 120,000. Like, when God is saying, you're angry? Like, this is 120,000 people and their animals. Like, and they were spiritually dead. And some of the versions say they don't know their right hand from their left hand. And now they do. Like, because you came and sent my message, they have repented. And they're going to be a part of our family now. Like, they're going to be worshiping me. Like, this is a good thing, Jonah. And Jonah believes, although he believes in God, and he's God's messenger, he's also very much nationalistic. And he is like, no, this is not the way it's supposed to be. Like, you're our God. You're not supposed to be everybody's God. I think he didn't want to share God, even though it was good for the people. Anyway, my way or the higher way. I feel like I have been on the run. And there are things that I knew I was supposed to do, and I just went the other direction. Or halfway did things, thinking it would, like, be good enough. And when I finally kind of came to my knees, it was like, oh, you got to do this. There are principles and laws at work. You've got to do this, or just keep, like, bring on the consequences. Get swallowed up by that fish. Get thrown overboard. Like, it's your choice. And I'm even at one of those crossroads now, like, okay, this is what I got to do. If I want these results, this is what I got to do. Even this whole process of getting up every morning and getting moving and talking with you all about the Word of God, like, it's kind of taken on a life of its own. But it was that reluctance of probably when it started, I started hearing the little voices in the late summer a year ago. And then finally in the fall, it was like, you either do this or, like, this is going to happen. I will move on to somebody else. Like in the book of Esther, like, this thing is going to get done. You can either join me and you can be the one to do it, or you can just keep going your way over there and resisting and not allowing yourself to be used fully because you're afraid of what people will think, how hard it's going to be, how uncomfortable, like all of the things. And I've been through that before, and you probably have too, and other things where you did step up, and then you feel such a sense of satisfaction and confidence. You're like, well, this should just spill over into everything, and this should be the only hard thing I really ever have to do. It's not the way it works. And not the only time when you have to choose the higher, well, you never have to choose anything, where you get to choose the higher way or your own way. And what's really, really interesting is when you take the higher way, and for me that, I call that God's way, and my desires always change. My way lines up. It ends up lining up. I don't stay in that place of resistance. My desires change when I surrender and I just go that way. Not always immediately, but eventually. Sometimes immediately, sometimes quicker than others, and really part of that's even up to me, that resistance. When you resist, things persist. But it's hard. That doesn't mean just because you know that, like, academically, that every time you enter in the process, that it's just going to be like, woo, you can just stop resisting because that's what you should do. Like, it just doesn't always work that way. But you keep trying because the higher way versus your way, and you just keep going and getting over yourself higher. But it's hard. It's hard. And a lot of people probably are like, what is she doing? I'm not going to make this about me. I just can identify with Jonah and all of his resistance and all of his trying to make God's way bend down to his way. But God can't do that. But we can do the other way. And he will help us and help our desire match up. And when it seems impossible, you've just got to stick with it. It is so possible. And your desires and what you think you desire is very changeable. Anyway, so thank God that Jonah decided to submit and surrender, and even gave us this example, this really human example, to help us when we feel angry, when we feel slighted, when we, like it doesn't make sense to us and we don't really like God's way. Like, he can handle it. And maybe he'll send us an example like that to get us more over, so that our eyes will be opened and we can get out of ourselves. But I think a lot of us shame ourselves. I'm not good enough. If I were good enough, I'd be, I wouldn't have resisted God. And we take examples like this out of the Bible as a way to even shame ourselves. And looking at Jonah with like judgmental eyes, when really, this book can be looked at so many different ways, even if we go back to the self and even that war within and feeling like you're in a storm and then you toss part of yourself over. Like, open your mind and your heart, look at the book of Jonah and see how God is going to speak to you. And, or submit yourself to whatever higher power you do believe in right now, and go further on that higher way and be willing to let go of your way. All right. We didn't get rained on. So it is Sunday at the beginning of July. We've been doing this 6 months together. What? I can't even believe it. And we're only halfway there. I've committed to a year of doing this. And it's been amazing every morning, and I can't believe I'm only halfway there. And who knows what will happen even beyond that. But day by day, I choose the higher way, at least for a few minutes, over my way. And that's pretty amazing, the fruit that yields. So it encourages me to keep going every time I get angry, like Jonah did, and get stuck down in my ways. And helps me, encourages myself to keep going and keep surrendering. Because there's so much more. There's so much more. And we limit ourselves with our ways. All right. I'm going to say goodbye for probably the second or third time. Rise and shine. Have a wonderful day.